Welcome back to the Dynasty Happy Hour. We are here. It is the last week of the regular season. The fantasy playoffs are upon us.
Welcome to the Dynasty Happy Hour podcast. Pull up a chair and kick up your feet as you get ready to enjoy some of the industry's most entertaining and actionable Dynasty content on the planet. We're talking veterans, rookies, sleepers, and oh yeah, you know the crew has those dad jokes ready for you. So let's not wait any longer and bring on the host or some combination of Doug, James, and Tyler.
It's
very clinical.
It's fungin. It's fungin.
Fungin? Nice. I like it. James is in his fungin.
Yeah.
He's feeling it. He's feeling it. As always, we are brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. I didn't get a chance to do any Underdog prop betting this week, so I took a week off from that this week. But James, you've been on fire, like just in general.
Just in general, playing some bets here and there. Very happy about it. I don't want to go too much into detail, but yeah, Underdog's great. I love using it for daily fantasy.
Hell yeah.
Especially the pick'ems. It's a fun time. And we've got a great deal for you.
Yeah, if you use code DHH, you're going to get matched up to $100 right away when you throw in a deposit. If you only got $25, they'll match 25. Do the math. That makes $50 that you can play with. You can do anything from $1 here and there, however you want to do it. I'm a small change kind of guy. I don't bet big to win big. I don't like the risk. The percentages don't work out for me typically. So I'm a small change guy. I'd like to do some of the small prop bet stuff, spend $5, make 100 if I get lucky, that kind of thing. But you can bet any way that you want. There's also basketball. There's hockey on there as well right now because that is also in season. You can bet on Shohei Ohtani and his $700 million. No, you can bet on him. Yikes. Wow. I saw that and I was like, damn.
Everybody's like, oh, it's like, woo! Everybody's like, oh, it's going to be like 550, 600. Nope. Dodge is like, come on in.
Dodge is like, oh, did you hear that thud on the table?
Well,
that was us.
I know this is a football podcast, but they were talking like how many endorsements that will pay for this contract, like in Japan, China, like all over there. That pretty much
the
pays
Dodgers aren't
for
hurting for money, so I think they'll be okay.
No, Magic Johnson. Hopefully, he brings that magic to the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, well, we shall see. We're on bye week this week, so maybe they'll get some magic over the bye. But Underdog is absolutely awesome. Once again, check it out. Code DHH. Match up to $100 today. All right, let's talk about some injuries as we jump into it. There was a few. There's some news we got going on. First of all, the Bills activated tight end Dawson Knox from injured reserve today. You saw him play a pretty good amount of snaps along with Dalton Kincaid. We may talk about that a little bit later on how that impacted Kincaid's target share in a highly contested, kind of fun game between the Bills and Chiefs today, but ended in controversy because everything does nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
For injuries, Christian Watson is out on Monday night with his hamstring against the Giants. I'm starting soft tissue issues on athletic receivers always bother me. You guys remember Alshon Jeffrey, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was one that was like forever soft tissue issues, and he had a hard time staying on the field. We just saw Watson start to get it going last week. He had 2 touchdowns, then he gets hurt. For me, all this means is the only guy that I'm confidently starting in the Green Bay passing game right now with Luke Musgrave out is Jaden Reed. Jaden Reed should lead that team in targets. What do you think about that, Tyler?
No, I completely agree. Still really like Musgrave in his future, but we won't be able to see him in the fantasy season since it's pretty much over. But yeah, for me, it's that, I'm not an AJ Dillon guy. Watson, I have 0 shares of.
Same.
And pretty much he was a 24-year-old rookie coming into the season. Like he turned 24. He's older. He seems to always be hurt. The soft tissue issues. He's Will Fuller-esque. I mean, we all wanted that big year from Will Fuller, and that's what it's kind of turned into. So the talent won't, I feel, blossom like we were hoping. And I think Jaden Reed is the guy that everybody should go out and probably get.
Yeah, 100%. James, what do you think about this Packers passing situation?
I don't want to discount Jaden Reed because he is absolutely awesome. But I will mention that Romeo Doubs has been often involved with the offense, especially when Christian Watson was out in the beginning of the season. We saw him 12 targets, 13 target games. Not saying that he's going to do that now that Jaden Reed's starting to blossom out a little bit, but you can rely on him for like 5 targets per game, and he has a ceiling of about 70 to 80 yards receiving. So in a great matchup against the Giants, just speaking this week coming up, it's great. It's great for Romeo Dobbs, and I think he's a discount. And I think as he stays with the team,
this is obviously a team. This is a team where I could see going out to free agency and signing a T. Higgins and signing a Saquon. Like, I think they're going to make a big offensive signing for a playmaker standpoint,
which isn't like them. So I mean, they're due
but
for that kind of thing.
Rodgers is gone, so that's the whole reason why.
He's not going to be like, I need Allen Lazard and Randall Cobb.
Yeah.
Hey, you mean Randall Cobb who scored a touchdown today?
I know. It's like third catch as a Jet. Hey, here's some belly button lint. Here you go. How about put that on the field instead of Allen Lazard and Randall Cobb, because they're absolute dust.
Hey, Xavier Gibson, just keep an eye on him.
Look good. NFL Network's Ian reports that Isaiah Pacheco and his shoulder is not expected to be placed on injured reserve. We saw the split between Jerick McKinnon and CEH. I know CEH was a popular pickup in redraft leagues this week. Cool. I was staying away from the Kansas City backfield. McKinnon did score a touchdown. Good for him. But I was just kind of avoiding the Noid. I'm kind of avoiding all of Kansas City's offense with the exception of Kelsey and Rashee Rice.
Yeah, so CEH had a hit where he tried to hurdle somebody and he got hit. And it reminded me of my daughter has a giant stuffy that has arms and legs. And when I throw it at her, the arms and legs kind of go toward where you're throwing. That's what it kind of reminded me of. Like when I threw the stuffy at my daughter when we're playing around, like CEH flying midair. I was like, God, I get he's a little thicker than he was last year. But it still was not great. You'd like to see more. And even the crowd after that play, the crowd was like, holy crap, like this is our first round pick.
We could have had Jonathan Taylor. Anywho. I'm avoiding the Kansas City backfield unless Pacheco is active. I'm starting Pacheco every week because he's looked really good. He's been their best runner by far. And he's been active in the passing game too, which is good to see. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I did go out and get Jerick McKinnon anywhere I could because if we don't remember last year, like he was a league winner. So if you're contending and he's still out there on waivers, go scoop him up.
Chiefs need to find something.
I even picked up Deneric Prince in a redraft leagues just in case, like if he flashed, because he flashed in the preseason. They seem to like him, but I was like, all right, when you have that last roster spot and you pick up like the high upside guy, and then if he doesn't do anything, you drop him. That was what I was doing. So CJ Stroud. Yeah, I know. CJ Stroud was forced from Houston's Week 14 game against the Jets. It says potential concussion. I'm going to tell you he was concussed.
Well, I filled this out at like 2:00 in the afternoon.
I know.
His head smoked the ground.
Yeah, it bounced like a four-square ball. That thing was. I was like, oh, I did the audible like to watch. His head got whipped back and bounced off the turf when he was sacked by Quinnen Williams in the fourth quarter. Up until that, he wasn't looking all that great because Nico Collins left this game early. He re-injured his calf and then was gone. We all know Tank Dell is done for the season with his broken bone. So it was really just Noah Brown, Robert Woods, Brevin Jordan. I mean, not the most attractive passing options in this game. And we all know the Jets defense is very, very good. So yeah, rough go of it for CJ Stroud today. If he does have a concussion, there are chances that he could miss next week. And it would be Davis Mills, Mechanic in his stead. Mike Glennon Jr.
I do want to say, I was thinking about this after the hit. So the NFL doesn't allow you to put body weight on a quarterback, but you can full back suplex a quarterback into the freaking ground and bury him and not get a flag.
Yeah.
Like that. This is and also, hey, everybody who said Stroud is just legit. This is what happens when you take legitimate weapons away from Stroud. He isn't as good as you would expect. And same with Mahomes. Look at Mahomes. Mahomes is struggling without weapons. A quarterback needs weapons. It's not like, oh, this guy could carry you. Like this shows like Bryce Young is an actual buy. We saw, we'll get into the Bryce Young, but like we saw really good, like hopeful plays from Bryce Young with his legs.
And as much as Stroud has shined this year, he's had some really, really great games, but he's also had a couple real stinkers in there too. Like he's a rookie. That's what we all have to remember. We hope that what we see in year one is going to carry over into year two and he'll keep that momentum going. But this is, games like this, games like a few weeks ago when he had like 100 yards and he didn't do all that well. That's reminders like, hey, these guys are rookies and they're going to have ups and downs. I mean, unfortunately, Bryce Young is just down into the ground.
That team is down.
I mean, technically, this was only his third game that really was under double-digit fantasy points, but maybe even second. Yeah. And like I'm giving him a pass because of the injury,
Yeah.
and the bad weather in this game.
I mean, Zach Wilson looked pretty good in the bad weather.
Yeah, James. No,
what's up with that? 300 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, but Zach Wilson has.
I mean, you take
Wilson.
Tank Dell away, yeah, and you take Nico Collins away, and then all that was left was Brevin Jordan, and then poof, Stroud gets hurt.
This whole game
John Mechie never going to be a thing, unfortunately.
This whole game reminds me how elite Garrett Wilson is. Like he makes a quarterback. You've seen like, hey, Garrett Wilson, just target him 30 times if you have to. He is an elite receiver, and this is a game that shows it, because every time they target Garrett Wilson, it's like, okay, that's a big play. That's a big play. That's a big play.
I'm hoping you bought the dip on Garrett Wilson.
Yes, and Doug, I know you did. And I tried where I didn't.
I already had him.
I had him in a lot of spots. So
yeah.
And there's another second-year receiver that had a massive game. I can't wait to get into. Which Doug also bought the dip.
we will get there. Justin Jefferson, unfortunately, started off 3 catches for like 30 yards, and then he took a big hit he was midair, took a big hit to the rib area, and he was taken to the local hospital, and he's been released from the hospital. We don't know what the injury designation going forward is. Hopefully he's going to be fine. If you watch that Minnesota Las Vegas game, you know how ugly it was. It was so bad.
You had to locally, so.
But obviously getting Justin Jefferson back in your lineup for the first time since week 5, I was looking for like this big lift right before the playoffs. So him sustaining an injury kind of took the wind out of my sails a little bit in the few leagues that I had him, unfortunately. So I'm hoping that starting next week that he'll be back and he'll be okay. Because if you roster Justin Jefferson, you're in the playoffs. A, awesome. B, you're going to need him in order to win the ship. So hopefully Jefferson comes back and he is A-okay. Justin Herbert was knocked out of the game with a finger injury, but this time it's not on his left hand. It's on his throwing hand. He has a fractured index finger on his throwing hand. The Chargers are now, 4-8?
Yeah. 4-9 needs to go. They have a coaching problem. Who cares about his hand? They have a coaching problem.
If I'm the Chargers, I don't bring Herbert back this year.
5-8.
5-8.
I don't bring him back this year.
They pretty much have Edward Scissorhands at quarterback right now. Like that's the problem. Like he's gonna have both of them.
He's doing everybody's hair in the locker room.
And the funny thing is, my favorite part about this is they showed a picture of him on the sideline, and he tried his hardest to keep that thing in a sweatshirt. It's like, dude, you're trying to hide it from media. Everybody knows you hurt your right hand. Everybody knows like Fields had an injury. Russell Wilson had
even Kurt Warner said the index finger is the last one that leaves the ball, and it's really big for accuracy. He's like the thumb and the index finger are like the 2 most important fingers for a quarterback. So it's like if he broke an index finger,
but he still got his middle finger when Staley gets fired, so he can use that one when he's walking out the door.
He can give him the old finger guns when Staley's leaving town, which will hopefully be soon. God.
Yeah, hopefully tomorrow, because this is done.
Yeah,
get him out.
It's pretty much over and done.
Yeah, this offense is terrible.
The Chargers, another North Dakota State quarterback in the mix, Easton Stick.
Hey, everybody talks about Carson Wentz and what he did in North Dakota State.
And Trey Lance, what he did.
He did not do that in North Dakota State.
Easton Stick won a championship there.
Easton Stick, North Dakota State. Trey Lance, North Dakota State.
Yeah. Small school, big quarterback.
Know your colleges, James.
That's great. All right. The last injury we have on the list today is Josh Jacobs left with a knee injury in the early 4th quarter. That Raiders offense was putrid. Devontae Adams was bad. Jacoby Myers was bad. Josh Jacobs was bad. Michael Mayer was invisible.
Kevin O'Connell's son was bad.
Al at quarterback. It was bad. It was bad. It was so bad. He looks just like him.
With the stormtrooper.
That was him throwing passes, just missing everybody.
My favorite part was the announcers having trouble splitting up Kevin O'Connell and Aiden O'Connell, trying to be like, no, this is Aiden O'Connell we're talking about. Kevin O'Connell's like...
Is Jerry O'Connell on the sideline? Hey, guys.
It was rough.
The O'Connell Bowl.
That's probably the most interesting part about that game. Unless you played IDP, which, if you don't play IDP, get into it, because games like this actually have meaning. When you have Max Crosby throwing up almost a 50 burger.
Yeah, he was a beast today. And luckily I have Max Crosby in one league, so that's good. I will never regret not hanging on.
Thank God you didn't have him against me today.
Before we move on to the weekend review, I want to give a shout out to Trophy Smack. Today is the last day you can order and get guaranteed Christmas delivery on Trophy Smack. So make sure you go and do that. And when you order that belt or that trophy, use code DHH Ring. You're going to save $60 and get a free championship ring with that trophy or that belt when you place your order. They also have stuff for the losers in your league, whether it's a toilet bowl, it's a funny outfit, a big banner that says I suck at fantasy football. All sorts of different creative options, and they're starting to get more branding and some wall art and things like that. So not only are they a trophy company, they're spreading their wings and being more diverse on their website. So go to trophysmack.com today, use code DHHRing at checkout and get that free $60 championship ring when you buy a trophy or a belt. Shout out to those guys. Order it now. Get it in time for Christmas. All right. Let's move on to this week. Tyler, I'm going to let you run point on this. You do a good job on this. What do you want to talk about?
All right, I want to talk about the Falcons. First of all, you got screwed over today with the defensive holding call, which shouldn't have been. I mean, the refs have loved just really shoving it up people's hinder and giving the game to another team. You know, they are loving this year and just making horrendous calls. But beyond that, Drake London going 10 for 172, I think. Yep. And that's without a touchdown. Like, this is probably his career game. I'm pretty sure it is. And this is without a quarterback, which I get Ritter had a great game. This is Tampa Bay's defense. Their pass defense is absolutely horrendous. So I'm not going to go from that. Ritter isn't the dude.
You are correct. It is his career high game.
Yep. There's rumors that the Steelers and the Falcons are going to try to trade for Justin Fields in the offseason. If Fields is in this offense with Arthur Smith, I know everybody hates Arthur Smith, but what are the two positions that Fields loves to target? The tight end and a wide receiver one. So bring him on in. I love it.
Yeah, but do you think Arthur Smith will actually let him do what he wants to do? Because he doesn't let anybody else do that.
Ryan Tannehill did. And Tannehill had one of his best seasons. And who's a better athlete than Tannehill? Justin Fields,
I think.
And Tannehill.
I don't think Justin Fields going anywhere.
Oh, if you don't think the Chicago Bears are drafting a quarterback at 1 and resetting their cap,
and
I really don't think so.
Get a first for him.
I think they trade that first and probably pick up another wide receiver.
There's no way they're trading out a 101.
Again,
Doug, you with me here?
Wait to be.
They're taking Caleb Williams 100%.
He's going to the Giants.
What?
He's going to the. Oh, here's the bias. He's going to the Giants.
Oh my God. Okay, everybody. Dynasty Happy Hour is now looking for a new coach.
Who's to say that Chicago doesn't take Marvin Harrison?
They have enough players. Trust. They have another pick as well. And
would you rather have Caleb Williams and Malik Neighbors, or Marvin Harrison and an offensive lineman?
Bingo.
Yeah, I don't know what the Bears are going to do, but I think DJ Moore is going to be there long term. They have Cole Kmet, who they signed to a long-term deal. They do need offensive linemen. It's going to be one of the most fascinating things. I don't know if there's ever been a team that's traded out of the 101 2 years in a row. So it would be interesting. And could Marvin Harrison be there? For sure. I could see that. But there's a lot that's going to happen between now and then. I'm not even worried about it. But I think Fields, I mean, he's flash potential. But if he were to go to a team like Atlanta, that would be great.
I just think about some of those teams like the Jets. Like, they're going to need another quarterback.
Yeah, but they've got Rodgers under contract for next year. They're not going to trade for Fields and sit him.
No, yeah.
So
I don't think they trade Fields away. I think Fields stays with Chicago.
I think it depends on what they get for him. If someone was like, "Hey, we're going to give you our first round pick," and it's like number 19, would you take it if you're drafting a quarterback at first? I probably would.
I don't know.
Then you'd have three first round picks.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of capital you can move around with, or just take players. They need a lot of stuff. But I don't want to talk about.
We got 5 months to talk about this.
All I'm saying is that Drake London today.
Oh yeah, baby.
He was one of the players that I've been targeting to buy on the low because he's just going to be turning 23 in the offseason.
Yeah,
and he's built like an alpha. He's showed that he can handle 10 targets a game. He's talented. I wasn't a Drake London guy coming out. I was like, I don't think he can separate. I'm not a huge fan.
I was a big fan. I had him pretty high.
And then the more that I watched him play, I was like, okay. And then there was this buying window open for Drake London in the off season. And then even in the beginning of the season, I was like, man, I think it's time to make some moves and trade and get Drake London. I traded away Joe Mixon and Christian Kirk for Drake London.
Very nice.
In a league. And he's a contender. I am not. I also traded for Garrett Wilson in that league. So now I have Jamar Chase, Drake London, and Garrett Wilson as my top three receivers. So I'm like, I've gotten younger and I've gotten like studlier. So I'm
probably
happy with that.
Better, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm super happy with that. And I also traded
the Kirk news though.
Yeah, I also traded some free agent auction budget to get and Alexander Madison to get Drake London in the offseason. And I got laughed at. One was like, "Oh, you overpaid." I'm like, this is when Madison was like, "Oh, he's a solid RB2," and I'm like, "Nah, he's not." But okay, cool,
dude. We were all hitting the sell button so fast on Alexander Madison.
Real nice,
yeah.
So it's great to see Drake London have games like this. I started him in all the leagues that I have him in, which I think is 4, because Tampa, their secondary is just trash. It's bad. So it was
a lot of injuries this year with Tampa Bay's backfield. Their cornerbacks are like playing duck, goose.
I do want to talk about, speaking of backfield, I do want to talk about Tampa's backfield. I've been really impressed. Another player I liked more than Tyler did. Tyler did not like Rachaad White coming out. He's like, he's too upright, blah, blah, blah. Rachaad White has been 100 yards from scrimmage and a score almost every week for the last 6 weeks.
Quietly good every single week.
Reliable.
Well, it's just opportunistic, really. I mean, he's getting 75 to 87%
that's
of
all
the
you
snap
need
share.
As a running back, that's all you need.
That's what you want in fantasy.
Yeah.
And he's playing better than we expected.
Yeah,
I'll give him that.
He's active in the passing game. Like, he's been scoring touchdowns.
He's RB5 on the season currently.
He has exceeded my expectations a ton. He's one of those guys in redraft that was kind of in that dead zone. Like, you pick him in round 7, like Josh Jacobs was last year, and he turns around and has a great season. That's kind of
I'm selling him after the season's over.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably
we have no idea where they're going in Tampa.
We don't know where they're going to go at quarterback. They have lots of offensive line issues. Is Evans going to return?
Yeah, they got wide receiver money issues.
What's up with Chris Godwin? Like, he's been brutal.
They've got 2 players ending their contract years in their receivers. So it's going to be iffy.
Godwin signed long.
Godwin got extended. I'm sorry. Last
Mike
year.
Evans is going to be a free agent for sure.
Yeah,
because he said that if they couldn't give him a deal at the beginning of the season, then he was going to test.
I think he just retires.
Nah, he's got too much juice.
Who's going to pay him?
Someone will pay him.
The Bears?
The Panthers? Like, someone will give him $12 to $15 million a year.
If the Panthers bring another 30-year-old wide receiver in that wide receiver room,
DJ Chark,
I will just sell any Bryce Young that I have left.
DJ Chark for good.
See you later. Bye.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit of Bryce Young. I know Tyler, he may or may not come back. We don't know what's going on.
Hey, let's just roll with it. Let's have fun.
I watched a decent amount of that game, and that whole team is just outside of Chuba Hubbard. And I know Adam Thielen had a decent game today. But he's cooled off considerably.
Yeah.
That offense is just, and this is a game that Carolina was in because their defense is not half bad, but their offense is just brutal. At least this is what I will say.
Putrid.
At least they were taking more shots downfield today.
I mean, they kind of been doing that with Mingo. Like, Mingo's gotten over the last 4 or 5 weeks, he's getting 6+ targets and a lot of air yards. Today, it just didn't fall his way.
Yeah, it was watching Bryce Young and that
9 targets
line, and it's I'm buying low. I did buy low on Bryce Young. I gave up Josh Dobbs, Demario Douglas, and Najee Harris for Bryce Young and Antonio Gibson. Obviously, with the whole Dobbs thing, like, hey, and Douglas hasn't played because he's been concussed. So for me, it was like, all right, the former first pick in the draft, I'll buy low on him because rookie quarterbacks, Trevor Lawrence, Peyton Manning, name rookie quarterbacks, they've struggled in year 1. So I'm hoping that he bounces back. They make some moves along the line. They add some weapons that are good. Maybe they sign a T. Higgins in the offseason.
I'm pretty sure it was the episode during the summertime that you and I always pick out who we can buy later on in the season. And Bryce Young was the number 1 candidate when we came out.
100%.
We did not expect him to have a great rookie season. No. And then putting him up against CJ Stroud was just like hot and cold. So I think, yes, I totally 100% agree with you that Bryce Young is still a nice buy in Dynasty. You can add Jonathan Mingo to that too. Easily a third round pick might get you Jonathan Mingo at this point.
Yeah, probably would. I mean, people probably spent a mid-second for Mingo in most leagues, so I don't think he's gained value. I think he's lost value, if anything. So
yeah, he got a little lukewarm
second,
there,
early third.
but he's still earning the target share, which makes me think that he is Bryce Young's favorite target. And he was going to command those bigger targets that you want down the field, 10, 15 yards down the field.
Yeah, I agree. James, what did you see today that you wanted to talk about?
What did I see that I enjoyed? Well, I enjoyed watching the Falcons lose. We already talked about that.
Yeah, there's a lot of things I saw that I didn't enjoy today.
Just on a pop-up thing, it didn't pop up on the news ticker or anything like that, but Kenneth Walker got a little banged up in this one, may have re-aggravated something. Zach Charbonnet came in later on. That's something. Drew Lock's not that good at football, dude.
I mean, he played better than I thought he would. At least they were competitive in that game for a bit, even though San Francisco's offense was asleep in the first half, and then the Giant woke up and they started popping off.
Do you think DK Metcalf stays in this offense?
Yeah, I mean, they signed him long-term. I don't think he's one of these guys that gets moved in the offseason.
And Lockett's out the door.
Lockett's got to be towards his run as a Seahawk. He's making good money. He's 31 years old. JSN is flashed. I think the right move for them is they need to do something at quarterback too, because Geno's not the long-term guy. Yeah. So if Seattle, if they're in that pick like 20 area, they might be able to get one of these young quarterbacks that'll be like a McCarthy or one of these guys. They need to do something at quarterback. So I think that they've got two young running backs. They've got a decent pieces on defense. They've got JSN. They've got DK. I think that's a good base. They just need to get the right quarterback in there because Geno, he was a great story last year. He struggled this year.
Had one really good game last week.
Yeah, I mean, he's clearly not the long-term answer there, so they need to figure out what they're going to do at the quarterback position. So I think DK stays there.
Speaking of quarterbacks, Brock Purdy, is he the MVP this year?
I mean, if he keeps putting up 380 yards and multiple touchdowns and not turning the ball over and the Niners keep winning games and they end up...
I mean, it looks like they're going to get the first round bye the way that they're playing right now. And with the Eagles losing currently 10-0. Yeah. I think if the 49ers wind up going to the Super Bowl, Purdy gets the MVP.
Well, it doesn't have anything to do with the postseason. The votes are already in by the time the postseason starts.
Right, I understand that.
So here's what I think. You could make an argument for a few players. You could make an argument for Tyreek Hill being the MVP.
Very true.
You could make an argument for Christian McCaffrey as MVP, Brock Purdy. If the Eagles keep winning, I mean, Jalen Hurts has played not as good as last year, but he's played well enough. Dak Prescott is making a run for MVP based on what I think there's just a lot of names.
It's still hard to break it down, huh?
I think you can take out Patrick Mahomes. I think you can take out Josh Allen just due to their records. They're great players, but I just don't think their teams haven't ascended to, best in the conference type of thing. I think Brock Purdy is right up there, and it's crazy. And it's crazy because he had that 3-game stretch where everyone was so out. Like if you're like, oh, Purdy, the bubbles burst, and they lose 3 in a row. And then what have they done since? They've set the league on fire again. They blew out the Eagles in Philadelphia last week, which is no easy task. They blow out Seattle today. They finally wake up and get their offense moving. The key to this offense is when they have a healthy CMC, a healthy Debo, Ayuk, and Kittle, they're really hard to stop.
Hard to beat.
And it looks like the heart of that offense, as much as CMC, he gets his 20+ touches a game. He's over 100 yards from scrimmage. The cog in that engine that makes the whole thing go is Debo Samuel. With Debo in there, they can do so many unique things, and it creates mismatches across the field. They can pick and choose what they want to do. And that is the important part of that Niners offense. So Brock Purdy, he has to make the throws, and he makes some great throws. He has to be a game manager, but he's better than that. I think Brock Purdy is a very good NFL quarterback. He's smart. He doesn't make mistakes. He makes the throws he needs to make. His career reminds me of, maybe an early Tom Brady, but better, because when Brady came into the league, that defense was awesome. And the Niners defense is great, but the Patriots defense was their bread and butter. Tom Brady wasn't lighting the league up on offense in his first year, even his second year. They missed the playoffs in his second year after they won the Super Bowl. He didn't get good until they added some offensive pieces, and he started to elevate his game and his talent. So for me, looking at Purdy, you've got similar stories. Mr. Irrelevant, right? Brady was a 6th rounder.
Yeah.
I mean, we're looking at 25 years apart. This is happening, and it wouldn't surprise me if Purdy leads the Niners to a Super Bowl. I'm not saying he's going to be Tom Brady. Tom Brady's arguably the GOAT, right? But you can see the similarities, and he's doing it with more talent. So Purdy's set up for success. So I think if you bought the little bit of dip that there was in Brock Purdy, or if you picked him up as a free agent like I did in a bunch of leagues last year, I'm riding Brock Purdy to the promised land. I've got him and Hurts as my quarterbacks in one league. I picked him up in a league that Tyler and I are in, and thank God, because we needed quarterback help. Like, this just goes to show, if there's ever, this is my super flex advice for anyone. If there's any quarterback in the league that has potential to start games, or they came in for an injured player, it never hurts to pick them up if you have a roster spot, because you just never know. I picked up Joe Flacco 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
And Joe Flacco is out there throwing 300 yards. And
let's talk about it.
And getting 3 touchdowns, and he looks freaking good.
He looks great, except for the fumble today and one interception. But
that's going to happen.
Over 300, three touchdowns. Like, come on, that's great.
And he was free. He was free in your super flex leagues. No one was rostering Joe. As soon as I heard that he was working out for the Browns, I picked him up in a bunch of leagues that I had spots.
All of a sudden, David Bell catches a touchdown pass for over 40 yards.
Well, it was a broken coverage, but
it was a broken
David Njoku, though, balled out today. I mean, I'm an OG David Njoku truther from way back.
Yep.
I picked him in the first round in tight end premium leagues. I was sold. We know it takes time for tight ends.
Like, he was definitely on the top of the tight end list today. Only one player I believe was higher than him, and that is my guy.
That was
Evan Schmingbrum.
Yeah, Calvin Ridley looked lost today. Evan Ingram was going to
happen.
Evan Ingram was the only reliable. I mean, Zay Jones had a couple of clutch catches, but Evan Ingram was the go-to guy. I thought Trevor Lawrence. I mean, I know he threw a few picks, but despite the injury, I thought he played okay.
He played okay, considering
he wasn't just in the pocket and he couldn't move. Like, he was able to
I
move.
saw him scramble and I just gasped for air. I'm like, oh my God, why are you doing that?
Yeah. I'm starting to get concerned about Etienne though. Like, he's been short yardage touchdowns, and that's about it lately.
I'm telling you, like, if you have him on your team, and I have him in a team that I'm gonna make the playoffs in. I'm playing him through the playoffs, and then as soon as the offseason comes, he's an off-season offload for me.
Yeah, I offloaded him onto Tyler on a team that Damon and I are rebuilding. We sold Etienne for who did we get back? We got a 2025 first. We got Trey McBride, and we got T. Higgins, and we sent Michael Mayer out the door with Etienne. So I'm happy with that deal because I don't want to build my teams around running backs.
No, you want to build them around wide receivers and quarterbacks and super flex anyway.
Yeah, 100%. And I'll take that 2025 first. You never know what that's going to be. But the more shots I get at it, the more I want. So Etienne, I'm starting to get a little concerned. He's been a little active in the passing game. I figured he would have been more active because there was no Christian Kirk today. And Trevor Lawrence doesn't have the mobility, maybe some dump offs and short stuff. But, I mean, he did dominate the backfield snaps. But, What
happened with Tank Bigsby? Did he not get a carry? He got 3 touches today? No, he didn't get anything.
I think Dearness Johnson has just outplayed him. Bigsby has made a lot of mistakes. He's had some key fumbles. He had a pass go off his hands that got picked off in a big game. He's made some very big rookie mistakes, and I think that Dearness Johnson has just outplayed him, and he's earned the snaps. So,
fair enough.
I mean, they released Jermichael Hasty, who I've always liked. He's on the Patriots now. And can we talk Patriots? I know
we can roll the tape back to
I know they won, and how about
by
this?
Bailey Zappi?
How about this? Zeke Elliott, league winner in 2023.
Still has
juice
in the tank.
25 touches, over 100
yards.
No
one wanted to buy him from me. I am literally tanking 1-12 in this damn league, and no one wanted to buy Zeke from me. I'm like, give me a second, please.
So here's what I'll tell you. Here's another dynasty tip. if you put it out there like, hey, this person's available and you don't get any offers, and I'm not to say you didn't do this, here's what you need to do. If it's a few weeks before the trading deadline, 2 weeks, the week of, whatever, you put, hey, Zeke Elliott's on the block. This is what I'm looking for. And you don't get any offers. You need to be proactive and send out offers to managers because because that's the way to do it. Because I've found that people will put this guy's available, but you know what they don't do? They don't send out offers to teams. They just wait for people to come to them.
Oh, yeah.
And that's not how it works.
No. I'll send out offers.
Yeah. If you want to flip your roster, don't be the guy that says this guy's available and sit back and think that all these offers are going to come flooding in. You have to be proactive. If you want to sell a Devin Singletary, you want to sell a Zeke Elliott, you need to sit and look at the roster, say, oh, this guy had Ramondre. I'll sell him Zeke for a late second or maybe a third even, because you're like, this is going to be his value peak because he could be dust.
Yeah.
So that's my tip to you guys is that when it comes trading season, be proactive. Don't just sit there and wait for, you think all these offers are going to roll in and then it's crickets and then the trade deadline lapsed and you're sitting there on your roster with a decaying asset that you could have flipped and maybe got something for. So
outside of Zeke in this game, there really wasn't much to talk about.
Trubisky is actually good for fantasy purposes.
Yeah, I know. He killed me in one of the leagues I was playing up against.
Deontay had a touchdown, but other than that, this game was pretty ugly, but it was nice to see Bailey Zappi do something, score multiple touchdowns in the first half. But Zeke looked good. And
it was good to see New England went to 3-10.
I know. Ramondre is probably, I can't imagine they're going to bring Ramondre back. So I think it's going to be Zeke until the end of the season. And if you have him, I have him on a couple of competing rosters, and now I can confidently start him and know he's going to touch the ball 20 times.
Is Kevin Harris sneaky pickup?
No. Kevin Harris is garbage. I've watched him play. He's not good.
I can't believe they got rid of Pierre Strong. He was the better back.
I agree. They just released Ty Montgomery. So, yeah, right.
Did they release him after the game?
After he made the special teams mistake, they released him.
Oh, my God. So it's Zeke and Kevin Harris for the rest of the season.
Zeke, Kevin Harris, and I assume Jermichael Hasty will get elevated.
Oh, okay.
Off the practice squad, who I like a lot. I thought he flashed with the Niners. I thought he flashed with Jacksonville last year. I've just always liked Jermichael Hasty's game. So that could be a guy, like if you're deep dynasty league and you have Zeke and you're like, you know what, I'll pick up Hasty and just sit on him because you never know when the opportunity knocks. Because Kevin Harris ain't it. He's a load that's going to get you 2.5 yards a carry. He's got no wiggle. Blech. He's garbage, as the kids say. But yeah, right. I want to give a shout out to Zeke.
Let's go. Rams, Baltimore. I like this game. This game was closer
fun.
Than I expected it to be.
Yeah, especially on the road. It was in Baltimore. The Rams
in
came
a
to
monsoon.
Play. The Rams came to play.
And the Rams did one thing that no other team has been able to do as of late, and that's run the ball against Baltimore. Kyron Williams, 25 carries, 114 yards.
You look good.
Didn't get into the end zone and didn't get any receiving yardage, but he did have 4 targets on the day, caught 3 balls. And it was just the offensive line was getting pushed around by Baltimore's defense.
Yeah.
But we saw Cooper Kupp come back alive today, 8 for 115 and a tutty. Nakua, the guy's a star, dude.
He makes sick catches every week, man.
I
love all the tape on the hands. Reminded me of like Sean Taylor when he had it on his
He's old school, yeah. He doesn't wear gloves. It's just some tape on his fingers. Like, yeah. He's the
out
real
there
deal.
making diving catches, looking good doing it. Like, I will give you, so you Dynasty guys that listen to this website or this podcast.
Well, it's a Dynasty show. I hope they're a
Dynasty show.
Dynasty. Yeah.
You probably saw Davis Allen catch some passes today, and he's a rookie tight end from Clemson. I have him on most taxi squads because, as you know, I'm the tight end guy. And if I see a guy with athleticism, I usually put him on my taxi and see what we got. So Tyler Higbee was out in this game, and Davis Allen got pretty targeted, and he looked pretty good. They went to him late, I think on the second to last play of the game, and it was a contested catch, and he did drop it, but he made some big plays in that game.
4 for 50 and a touchdown.
And I liked what I saw, and he is, if you're not in a league with me, he might be available. He's worth picking up because Tyler Higbee's on a big contract. He's not that good.
No.
Hunter Long's on that roster, who I loved coming out of Boston College, but he's been traded now from Miami. He's never been healthy.
Bryce Hopkins ain't it.
No, he ain't it. But this I could see him being the starting tight end there next year for the Rams because Higbee's making big money. I could see him out the door. And Allen looked really, really good today.
He did. He did look very nice.
So, like I said, I've got him. We were just talking little Davis Allen for you, Tyler, as he jumped back in.
Yeah, I'm not sure if anything else is working, but
we can hear you
guys.
We can hear you.
You can hear me. Okay, but so hey, there we go.
I mean, it was the best 20 minutes of the podcast with you not.
I bet. I could only imagine. No, he's a Clemson guy. Do you guys remember the other Clemson tight end named Allen, play for the Colts? I got him.
Dwayne Allen. I love Dwayne Allen.
Yeah, and every time he caught a pass, I'm like, oh my God, is he back? This is him, right? Because I said Clemson tight end, and
Dwayne Allen was African American.
That's true.
Davis Allen is Caucasian.
I mean, we've all seen the movie White Chicks. You just never know.
Oh my goodness.
I'm just gonna make my way downtown on this.
On the other side, Isaiah Likely, talking about tight ends, like he finally had a big game. The one game that we were waiting for, Isaiah Likely.
He had a big play. Yeah.
Big play. Yeah.
As soon as he left the line, you could see I was watching that and they showed it and his arm was up and I'm like, Lamar, I have him in Scott Fishbowl. I'm like, you better throw him that football.
Yeah.
Thankfully he did. Zay Flowers had a couple drops today, but did have the game-winning touchdown.
Dude, that touchdown saved his day.
Yeah. And Odell Beckham Jr.'s got some life. He's been looking decent.
10 targets, caught 4 balls.
Is Rashad Bateman dust?
No, I don't think he is yet.
I don't think he is yet either.
I think he's a severely buy low opportunity.
Third?
Oh, yeah.
Third? Yeah, I think that's pretty fair pricing. Keaton Mitchell got most of the work in the backfield today. Yeah, but the Rams, I liked what they did. I thought they were super competitive on the road, tough matchup. It was good to see.
It was a good game. I love this game, like I said.
You know who I want to talk about today? And he hit the 22-mile-an-hour mark, second fastest player in the NFL this year. His name's not Tyreek Hill. It's not DK Metcalf. It is Chase Brown from the Cincinnati Bengals, a guy I really liked coming out of Illinois.
Yeah. Well, he
gives me Austin Eckler vibes. I know he wears number 30, so it's an easy comp, but he could be the lightning to Joe Mixon's thunder. He's got the juice. He had 80 yards receiving today. I just like what I see. He brings
big 40-plus yard play reception. But him and Mixon both had one.
He brings a different element to this backfield that they have not had since they've had Joe Mixon. I think they wanted that out of Chris Evans when they drafted him.
Yeah.
And he's just perennially hurt. Travion Williams is not that kind of guy. He's like Joe Mixon light, the way that he runs the football.
He's Samaje Perine light.
Right. But Chase Brown, you can tell when this kid touches the football, he's different. He made a move laterally and made a guy miss full speed today, which I was like, whoa.
Doug, we saw on tape. His Illinois tape. Like, we saw this. Like, he is fast, quick.
Yeah.
And there's one person in this podcast that hated Doug and I for having him at RB5. And his name is James.
It's true. It's true.
RB5, though?
Yeah. Like, this was pre-draft. Doug and I had him pretty high pre-draft.
I love Chase Brown. I had Sean Tucker up there, too. Chase Brown reminds me of Sean Tucker a little bit.
Did you have Kendre Miller over him in your rankings?
No.
Chase Brown.
Jamar Chase with a quiet game, but you know what? Jake Browning looked good again. I know he did get injured at the end of the game. It looks like he's probably going to be okay, and they brought in A.J. McCarron. But the Bengals are scoring 30 points a game with no Joe Burrow.
Go figure.
Jake Browning has looked good. His completion percentage is good. He's been protecting the football. Like, you couldn't ask for anything more out of this kid. The Bengals are still in the playoff hunt.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Which is wild. You know, so I love seeing the Chase Brown stuff today. Mixon gets in the end zone again, and he's been reliable, especially because the running back position is such a dumpster fire this year. So, you know, Mixon, he's one of the guys that like I told you earlier, I sold midseason him and Kirk for Drake London, because Mixon to me is one of those guys that he could get cut in the offseason, and then he has a hard time finding a job.
Yeah.
Just because he's that age, he's part of that draft class. Like Leonard Fournette, Dalvin Cook are already dust. Is Joe Mixon next? I mean, McCaffrey obviously isn't. He's the exception to the rule, but I could see Joe Mixon being he's a declining asset. So I wanted to get out from underneath him. And guess who I have on my taxi squad, James?
Who's that?
I have Chase Brown on my taxi squad in the league.
Go figure.
I love it when that happens. If Chase Brown has a bigger role next year, I lose Mixon, no big deal. I elevate Chase Brown. Maybe I can start him some weeks. That's what I'm hoping. It always pays to handcuff backfield sometimes with younger guys because those older guys get hurt or move on. And then guess what? You got a guy that you can plug into your lineup if you need to. So that is always a fun move. James, what else you got?
I don't think we have too much left. I think we hit them all.
Let me take a quick gander here. Didn't come prepared. I'm just going to give a quick browse. Colts, how about Michael Pittman?
He's
so reliable, right?
He's playing up to expectation today. in and out of games. I expected him to score a touchdown in this game. It didn't happen. But his target share is monstrous compared to everyone else on the team. He's double-digit targets, 13 or 12 out of 13 games that he's played this year. It's just ridiculous. He's got 95+% snap share.
He's going to catch 100 balls again. Easy.
Yeah. Oh, easily. He's already over. Oh, he's on the 87 right now.
Oh,
so yeah,
he'll get it in 2 weeks.
Plenty of time.
Yeah.
And
he was a sneaky guy last year. You go, oh, Michael Pittman caught 100 passes last year. Guess what? He's going to catch 100 again this year. He's just really, he doesn't have this crazy ceiling, but he's got a super safe floor of 7-75, 8-95, 10 and 110. And I'm
not scared with Anthony Richardson coming back because we saw that kind of target share when Anthony Richardson was at the helm. So I think it just helps him and adds another layer to this offense as we see it growing. A banged up Jonathan Taylor not in this game. Zach Moss didn't do crap, and I know Tyler would love to have been on this podcast to talk about that, but since he's not here right now, without Jonathan Taylor, without Anthony Richardson, I think this offense is sneaky good with Shane Steichen at the helm as the as the head coach. I think it's going to work.
Yeah,
it just needs a little time.
Yeah, I think next year you're going to have Taylor back because they obviously signed him long term. You got Josh Downs, who I like a lot. You got Pittman. You've got even Alec Pierce, who flashed last week, but and
then you have Anthony Richardson to top it all off.
And you have Richardson. They've got a trio of tight ends that they could use. And I think Pittman is a guy that I would buy at his current price because I don't think his price is accurate. I think in Dynasty he's usually right around probably wide receiver 17, 18.
Michael Pittman is like a younger version of Mike Evans when it comes to how people view Mike Evans. They're always
boring. He's boring.
Oh, he's never going to be good. This, that, the other. Year after year, he just logs good, consistent
100 receptions, 1,000 yards. Now Pittman doesn't score as many touchdowns as I'd like him to, but that's a variable.
But he's also dealing with a banged up quarterback, on IR, and we'll see. He's dealing with Gardner Minshew pretty damn good. To be honest,
I would pay the current Michael Pittman price, whatever it is right now. Late first?
Yeah, easily.
Yeah, I would give up a late first in a 12-team league for Michael Pittman.
If I have a late first, I would actually consider that, but I think I already have Pittman on that.
I see.
I've
got him in
too many leagues.
I think I've got him in 2 dynasty leagues. So
what else we got? We got anything else?
I was looking through Broncos, Chargers. We talked a little bit about the Herbert injury. Broncos, Javonte scored a touchdown for the first time in forever on the ground, so that's nice.
Cortland Sutton keeping it going.
10 touchdowns on the
season.
4
targets and 3 receptions for a touchdown.
10 touchdowns for I didn't see that. I didn't have that in my bingo sheet at all.
6 touchdowns over the last 8 weeks, and 1 week was a bye. So he's just he's crazy. I don't know how they're doing it, but he catches the big ball that counts.
Yeah, he's a good contested catch receiver, and he's been really, really good this year. Obviously he's fully back from the injuries, and that's made a huge difference for him. So you love seeing that. Austin Eckler.
Jerry Jeudy still stinks.
Yeah, he stinks. Austin Eckler didn't look complete dust today. He had almost 100 yards from scrimmage, and he did have a touchdown. So he did have 100 yard on the dot. What do we think they're going to do going forward at that running back position? I think Eckler's done at the end of the year. I think there's some bad blood there.
We saw some extra carries go to Isaiah Spiller. He did get the nod over Joshua Kelly, although Kelly still had a couple there. I think
Kelly farted out loud in short yardage when they needed a force.
There's a lot of things that they need to fix. First and foremost, the offensive line is just terrible, and we're seeing it year in and year out with Herbert getting hurt. So I think they try to concentrate on that. Maybe they pick up a later round running back, maybe the 3rd, 4th round.
There's going to be a lot of them this year because this running back class.
See where it's going to go with that. And I think they let Eckler walk to free agency, and he gets picked up somewhere. But he could be done, man.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be hard for Eckler to get a big money contract. I think he'll find a home somewhere.
Yeah,
but I don't think it's gonna be with the Chargers. So it's interesting. Quentin Johnson flashed a little bit with Easton Stick. I'm still not buying because I'm just not buying. A big fan. But in this game, I'm still buying Marvin Mims because his price continues to get lower and lower and lower. And I think the way that Denver's going to make moves in the offseason, I think Jerry Jeudy's as good as gone. Sutton will probably stay, I think, because I think he's played well enough. But Marvin Mims could easily be the number 2 pass catcher in that offense. Hopefully they get Greg Dulcich back, your guy, James. I would love to see that, get him back. And they get some more athleticism in the passing game, which would be great to go along with Javonte and Jaleel McLaughlin. Denver, Russ has played okay this year, but I think they just lack some of that juice in the offense, and they're not getting Marvin Mims enough work. And I think that, it could be just maybe he's not ready because he's a rookie, but we know athletically he's flashed. He's had a couple of big games early in the season, but he's been kind of quiet. So I'm looking to acquire Marvin Mims. Probably had to draft him with a mid to late second. I'm hoping to maybe scoop him up for a third if I can in the offseason.
That sounds reasonable.
If I can do that, I think he's one of my stronger buys because I really love his profile. I really like him as a player, and the opportunity appears that it'll be there for him in 2024. So he's a guy that I am trying to target. Outside of that, I think I don't know. I don't really see much else. Let's see what's we got.
Update on the Dallas Philly game. Dallas winning 17-3.
Darn.
With 3 minutes left in the second quarter. So yikes.
Okay.
Rico Dowdle. He was an easy pickup. I hope you picked him up.
I picked him up in a ton of Dynasty leagues because he
8
was the
for
guy
31 and a touchdown, and Pollard has 6 for 32.
Yeah. And remember, Pollard's not on a long-term deal. He's on the franchise tag, right?
Correct.
So, Austin Eckler to the Cowboys. You heard it here first.
Oh, my goodness.
I could see them doing that.
All right. Well, let's get out of here.
Yeah, I did want to give a shout out to Manscaped. Make sure you go on to manscaped.com today. Get that order in before Christmas. Use code DHH. Save 20%. You get the best beard, ball, face, whatever you want to trim in the business with the Lawnmower 4.0. I believe they have a juiced up version on there now as well. They're also going to give you all sorts of awesome stuff. They're going to give you stuff that's going to make you smell good, that's going to make you feel good. It's going to make your skin super smooth and hydrated, which is important, especially this time of season when it's so dry. Keep those boys hydrated at all times. Your wife, girlfriend, partner, whatever you got, will thank you for it. So check out Manscaped. Use code DHH. Save that 20%. Get it before Christmas. It's a great gift. Your balls and everyone else are going to thank you for it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That has been us this week. Sorry that Tyler had some technical issues. We'll get that sorted out. But for James, for me, we will see you next week in the fantasy playoffs, baby. Let's go to Dynasty Happy Hour. Woo!
Champions.